He had his rifle, he released her, and he spent the next few hours hunting her. He said, I got such a thrill from it that I knew I never wanted to be without that feeling.
Robert Christian Hansen was born in 1939 in Esterville, Iowa, about the most remote place besides Alaska that you could be in the United States, right? And so it's kind of fitting that later on he would go even more remote.
Yeah.
His entire childhood is remote in a way. He's the son of a Danish immigrant, grows up in a bakery. His dad runs a bakery. And just like every serial killer we talk about, it all goes back to women. Women and powerlessness and the lack of women and the lack of power, right? So these are things that we talk about today. Like you see like red pill guys on the internet and they're like, this is why you don't have any women. This is because you don't have a job and you're skinny and you suck. Well, this has been aching mankind since forever ago, you know?
He took it to the extreme though.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I don't know if you saw the part because we're researching these things separately so that we have something to talk about. So that's why, I'm asking, like, I don't know did you see the part where it was like, first of all, his father, he was a strict disciplinarian, but his mother wasn't, right? So he would go to her for comfort.
Right.
Like he had a good relationship with the mom.
Yeah.
But the father was very strict and had him working kind of like an apprenticeship in the bakery until eventually he's working full time. But the stuff that I saw, because I watched the interview with him afterward, where he talks about how he desperately wanted friends when he was a kid. Yeah. He wanted girls to like him, and he said, it meant everything to me for girls to like me. And he's like, and they just didn't. And if you listen to the interview with him, and this is a grown man. By the time he's interviewed, he's got to be in his 40s.
Yeah,
he's just awkward. He doesn't. He almost has a stutter. Mm-hmm. It's almost sad listening to him talk.
Yeah.
And not that he's not a monster, but you can see where this kid desperately wants friends, wants a girlfriend, wants to be liked. Nobody likes him. He's the quiet kid in the corner that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
It's so bad growing up that at some point, now, first of all, he does end up getting married.
He's been married twice.
Yeah, but I'm saying in that little town, he ends up finding a girl that's a super Christian girl, and they get married.
I think as a teenager or something, or late teens.
He's like 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. But he still harbors resentment toward the high school students and the town for basically rejecting him.
Right.
So much so that during it's like a town meeting or a party or some kind of an event, he goes and he sets the building on fire. And of course, they end up, several other kids know about it. They talk to some older kids, and they end up catching him. And he admits that he set the fire, and he ends up being sentenced to
3 years, I believe.
3 years.
And he did about, a year off of that or something like that.
But his wife has second thoughts now. She's like, I didn't sign up for an arsonist who's clearly holding some resentment.
Yeah.
And she ends up getting the marriage annulled. And then, of course, he gets out of prison. His father is so humiliated by what happened that he ends up selling the bakery. I don't know if you saw this part. He sells the bakery, buys like a hotel or a motel or something, and leaves like the state and goes to another state. So when his son gets out of prison, he goes to stay with his father. But you know what it made me think of? I don't know if you saw this. There's a guy who was 75 years old. This just happened like a couple weeks ago. I'll probably get some of the, some of it wrong, but 75 years old, who, when he was in high school, a couple of bullies used to prank him constantly. One of the bullies at one point stuffed him into like a locker and locked the locker, and it was a terrifying, humiliating part of his childhood that he said he's never been able to let it go. And at 75 years old, he got a fucking gun, went to the guy's house, knocked on the door, guy opened the door, boom, shot him right in the fucking head.
Wow. Talk about Talk about playing the long game, dude.
Yeah.
Talk about lying in wait.
Turned himself
Wow.
in. Sat down and waited for the cops to come.
Wow.
I mean, I was thinking, how bad? What was the situation? Like, to me, I'm like, you're 75. You still have some life left. Like, what's the deal? Maybe he was sick. Maybe he just said, I just can't. I'm not going to die with this.
Right. Well, maybe he thought, okay, I've made it to 75. I've had a family, a career.
I'm
I've at least survived. I've held on to this thing, but I've made a life for myself. Now it's time to get even. Yeah, and I'll go to prison. Right. I don't give a fuck. That's pretty dope.
That's gangster.
That's gangster shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's gangster shit. But also, I was bullied kind of as a kid. I mean, it was Portland, Oregon, so the bullying was not like middle American, stuffing people in lockers. Like that was already gay by the 90s,
Right.
Like you'd be looked at like bullies were looked at almost like they are now, which is like it's not even cool to be a bully.
Right.
But I went through like some trauma for a couple of years because I was a super awkward kid, didn't have a lot of friends. This is like elementary school.
Should these guys be worried?
Yeah, they fucking should.
That's what I'm getting at.
No,
Todd, if you're watching.
Yeah. It's always a Todd.
Yeah.
No, it's like, no, I got the fuck over it. You know, it made me tougher, if anything, you know? And then, so I don't know. It's, mankind is weak, though. There's always weak people. But bullying is real. Like I was mean to kids like in high school that I found out recently, like at like my 20-year high school reunion, they were still holding on to. And this was not like bullying. This was not anything physical. It was just like, roasting people, shit talking people, making fun of people, the smelly kid, the poor kid, whatever. Your fucking hair is nasty. Your daddy's on crack. It was
Jesus.
But it was like people really do hang on to shit. It's the wounds, especially as a kid. So it's like Robert Hansen. You're by the time you're 19, you're already programmed. You're already embedded with everything that you were raised with. And unless you have serious meds and psychological help and therapy and whatever they do now, inner child work. There was none of that back then. There was no,
suck it up.
There was no ayahuasca healing in 1961, right? So, it's just kind of fascinating because the guy could have made a life for himself. I don't think he was like abused. Did you see anything about that? I don't think he was.
No.
Nothing about like even real physical abuse.
And he eventually, like, he does meet a woman, right?
Right.
Like, he meets a woman. So it's not like, hey, I'm rejected, because he clearly does not like women. He has an issue with women.
Oh, he hates women.
But he does meet a woman who's like a good Christian girl,
Right.
and they do get married. And it's like, had you let go of this resentment that you're holding towards these,
Right.
towards all these women that rejected you in high school, you could have stayed married to that
Right.
chick and gone on. But by that time, I guess by that point, he's so psychologically damaged,
But also
and
when
to burn down a building.
I know.
Who the fuck's burning down a building, bro?
I know.
That's serious. People have no idea. I'm shocked that he didn't get a lot more time. You're trying to burn down a building with people in it.
Right. Yeah, they don't play that. They don't fuck around with that. When I was locked up, I met a lot of guys going away for longer than a couple of years, like Robert Hansen, for less arson.
Yeah.
He's only 19. You're a kid. Now, back then, I guess, when he's 19, it's like 1958. So I know the times were different, but I reading it and researching this guy, I don't like him. Like off the rip. I think he's a pussy. I think he makes excuses. A lot of serial killers had it a lot worse, Like there's a lot more trauma in a lot of different
He's not
serial
cool
killers.
like all those other serial killers.
They at least
That's what I feel like you're saying.
They at least have something that you can like track, right?
Mm-hmm.
This event that really made sense why they got pushed over the edge, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have anything like your dad was kind of a tough disciplinarian. But
he was a cold Danish guy, who you couldn't talk to.
My mom used to say this because she's Norwegian. She used to say, there was once a Norwegian man that loved his wife so much, he almost told her.
That's great.
That's great. She was not as much as I love my mom. My mom and dad, there was not a lot of hugging.
Right.
You know,
right.
clearly there was a lot of hugging in your household.
There's a lot of hugging,
'cause
a lot of
you
I love
hug
yous.
almost every time I see you.
Well, do you know what though? I was raised with a dad who was sort of mean to me. So now as a grown man, I really value male relationships because I didn't have one with my father. But it was not nearly to the level of like a kid growing up in the 40s in Iowa whose dad just really like, if I see you crying, I'm going to beat you with a switch.
Right.
I don't want to see you. You're going to work full time as a kid for me in a bakery.
Can you imagine what that work is too? Because it's funny. I didn't really think about this. I mean, I think about the time to make the donuts. You know, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
You know, those commercials. But they talk about that in one of the docs where they talk about how that you have to understand that being a baker is not a normal job. They're like, you have to get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning to start baking so that the rolls and and all of the pastries and everything are ready by the time people start coming in at 7 and 8 in the morning. You have to have been up for hours.
Yeah.
So
it's like being a garbage man or something.
Right. It's you can't have a typical life because you're going to bed at 6 o'clock. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
anyway,
this guy had nobody to talk to. He was
a kid.
As a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I feel bad for children that have to grow up like that. So I don't want to sound like I don't have empathy, but this guy, he had chances, right? Like he had opportunities. He wasn't a complete loser. But that's just the route that he took. And interestingly enough, as we're going to see in a little bit, this guy catches multiple cases.
Yeah, I was just gonna joke and say, but he got his life back together again, and he was never rearrested, and everything worked out fine. He went to college to become an accountant, and he's doing great.
He's doing great.
Thank you for subscribing,
dude. He's got a 2 handicap, loves golf, comes down to Boca. Yeah. Oh wait, that's not what happened.
Yeah, but clearly,
no, the guy catches multiple bids, and as we're going to see,
and they get progressively worse.
That's right, and as we're going to see, there's so many clear through lines to every serial killer story. One, it's the weird isolated kid and the trauma, and also it's a failure of law enforcement.
Yeah,
and the victims usually are helpless women, and 80% of the time they're prostitutes.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, it's more failure of law enforcement. We're going to see that in Robert Hansen's case. So he's 19. He does, I don't know, I think he does about a year and a half. And then he gets out shortly after that. Actually, no, I'm sorry. So he gets out. He moves to Alaska, I think about the late 60s.
Well, he gets married first. He gets married.
He does.
So when he moves with his father. He ends up dating another woman, and they get married. They actually have he has several kids with this woman, and she has no clue what's going on. Let's see, her name is Mary Hansen. Anyway, and then in 1967 he moves to Alaska with her.
Okay,
and we talked about prior to the podcast. We talked about like why Alaska.
Yeah.
I would think, and this is just, I didn't read anything about this, why specifically, other than they said, it was the last American frontier, great frontier, whatever.
Right.
But I can imagine back in the 60s and 70s, Alaska was really opening up. The government was spending a ton of money. They had found oil.
Yeah.
There's money in Alaska.
Yeah.
And they're trying to actively get people to come to Alaska to start businesses. Yeah. So if you're a baker, which is a specialty, right? It's a skilled labor. You're able to go there. And by the way, he's also having issues finding work. So
because of his criminal record, or he just doesn't have a lot of education?
I don't know, but it says that after he was released from prison, he goes from several part-time baking jobs, and he's having hard time finding work. He goes to Alaska, immediately finds a job, eventually opens a bakery of his own.
That's right.
He's got a few kids.
Yeah.
And it's a booming town. I mean, Alaska was. Do you remember the show Northern Exposure?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And that's how they kind of talk about it. Like, look, they're actively trying to get people to come to Alaska. They're paying them good salaries. And let's face it, if you're a baker in a small town, there's no other bakers.
There's no competition.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a boom time. Like that's that's what a lot of people did. They moved to places that are virgin territory.
He doesn't have a problem. Obviously, being isolated at this point. No. He's isolating himself probably. And the other thing is, if you're thinking along the lines which he's thinking of, he despises women, and he's interested in having sex. with prostitutes, then going to Alaska I think is probably easier to pick up prostitutes and not have to come across them all the time or something along those lines.
Well, I think also you can escape your past.
Yeah.
Especially back then in the 60s in Alaska, you literally can just start a new identity. So I think that was part of it. Going to the prostitute thing, I don't know that the guy liked going to prostitutes. I think it was I think he liked getting laid. I think he had probably like latent like sex addiction, but he can't get laid anywhere else because of his,
he's married.
He's married, but I think the guy probably would rather just be fucking chicks, you know?
In the interview, he says, he does say, when I initially, he said, saw the prostitutes, I was disgusted by them. He said, but eventually, he said, I started realizing he was going to need prostitutes. I don't really know what that need is, other than the fact that he said, the reason I liked prostitutes was I could do things with prostitutes that I could not do with my wife. Now, I don't know if that's sexual in nature, like is it that his wife is like, hey, no, missionary position, that's it, and we only have sex because to have children because she's super religious? Because this is funny. I actually dated a girl whose mother got divorced. Her father was extremely religious, and he used to say, like, it was her and her sister. The mother said, we barely ever had sex, even our first year of marriage, or first few years of marriage when they had kids. She said, your father only wanted to have sex. He said, you should only have sex in order to procreate.
Wow. And this is the father.
This is a father.
That's wild.
He was a weird guy. He was super religious, over the top religious. Now, eventually, they just divorced. Like, she was like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah. But, and I don't know that that's the same thing. You think that'd be more of a woman thing, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Right. I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And I believe it's probably true. Like, he can only really get with these like homely Christian ladies. I'm just going to assume these are some uggos. Like, let's be honest, right? This is like the only people that he can really, he's marrying women who just want to be married, right? A lot of guys now just wouldn't get married. They just want to go, play out their fantasies or maybe just be isolated. A lot of people just don't even want to be married.
Right.
So I think this guy wanted to just be sexually active, but was unable to get a civilian to sleep with him, and that's and combined with the fact that he was obviously married, that's what led him to prostitutes. And I think we see that in a lot of these serial killers.
Well, he eventually does branch out to start trying to see women, right? Initially, while he's in is it Anchorage?
Anchorage,
yeah.
Alaska.
While he's in Anchorage, he does end up finding this or he kind of stalks this one girl who's, I guess, coming into the bakery periodically, and he kind of stalks her a little bit. I don't know that he knows her, but he sees her, stalks her a little bit, approaches her one day, and it's funny because he says this is something that wouldn't work now, obviously, but he follows her into her building. When she's going into her apartment, he says, hey, he said, I'm trying to get a hold of somebody. I need to call, whatever. And he asked to see, can I come in and check the yellow pages? And she says, yeah, sure, no problem.
Right.
Invites him in. When he gets in, he asks her out on a date. She says, no, I can't. I think was she married or engaged? And she's like, I have somebody.
She was engaged.
Yeah. I'm not interested. And so he then pulls a gun on her. And I'm sorry. At that point, he leaves. He comes back a couple days later, and as she's going into her apartment, he pulls the gun out on her. And he goes to tell her that he wants her to come with him, and he's thinking he's going to relocate her. But they're still in the building. So they're in the hallway, and he's saying, "Yeah, come with me, get in my car, don't scream." And she just and he says, "If you scream, I'll shoot you." But screams her head off.
Belted it, yeah.
He panics and bolts. He takes off running. The police show up fairly quickly. They get a dog. The dog tracks him down. Now, that they said the dog tracked him down because of the weapon, because they can smell the gunpowder or something. I've never heard that.
I mean, gunpowder inside of a bullet that hasn't been shot.
That's what I'm saying.
Amazing.
He didn't fire the weapon, though.
Right.
They didn't say he fired. He just ran. They said they tracked him down, whether it's the gun or whatever it was. They tracked him down. Just like I said, that was a weird thing. But that is what they said. They tracked him as a result of the gunpowder.
Right.
I was like, maybe just a scent. But they track him down. They grab him. She IDs him. He gets charged. He's in prison or he's in jail for a couple days, gets bond.
Yeah.
He's still married.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows what he told his wife. He gets out. He's on bond. While on bond, awaiting trial, he ends up abducting another woman, gets her into the vehicle, drives like 45 minutes away. So in his mind, he's got something about really wanting to go to a distance.
That's right.
Now, he said in his interview that he had no intention of killing either one of these women. His intention was to rape these women. He did not have intention to kill them. And that's what he said.
Yes.
He said he had no intention of killing them. He just wanted to rape them.
And in fact, I think that's true of all of his victims, at least according to him.
I think started that way. Yeah, it started that way. So, I mean, I hear you. Oh, no, I'm sure they all got raped.
Yeah.
But he learns very quickly, right? So he's on bond for the abduction.
Mm-hmm.
He picks up another girl. He abducts her. He drives her 45 minutes away. He rapes her.
Mm-hmm.
He tells her the whole time, you just do what I tell you to do. Nothing's going to happen. On the way back, he starts realizing she's probably going to turn me in. She's going to turn me in. Like he realizes he's not,
Yeah.
like,
this isn't the honor system.
Yeah, this is not, so he's like, and he pulls off the side of the road, and there's a cliff. It's like on a cliff, and she knows he's thinking, and he is thinking, I'm going to toss her off the cliff.
Right.
And she starts begging and pleading and swears she's not going to tell anybody. She's just let me go. I swear, just please. Begs him and convinces him that she's not going to tell anybody. He gets a bunch of her personal information and says, "Oh, I'll kill your whole family if you do." And blah, blah. Okay, fine. Drops her off, and ends up
Gentlemanly.
Yeah, ends up letting her out. And 2 days later, she goes to the police. Now, keep in mind, I don't have the time frame because he just admits this during the interview. He admits that he's raped during this whole course, and this is a fairly decent amount of time. He's raped around 30 women that he's raped, dropped off, and never spoken to again. They never turned him in.
Never went to the cops.
Never.
Yeah.
Never heard anything about it.
Yeah.
So you can see how he might think, I can get away with this.
Yeah.
But she goes in, she tells the police, they track him down, grab him. She's got enough information, they know who he is. Plus, he's out on bond.
Yeah.
Second charge, he goes to trial. On both cases, she is such a bad witness. He gets found not guilty in that case, but he's still found guilty on the first case, and that's when he gets 5 years for that one.
But he gets out in like 6 months.
Yeah.
This
is
just
the 70s.
Insane.
It's the 70s.
Yeah.
The pendulum, it's back and forth.
Yes.
We're here, but we're coming back now.
Right, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. So he does 6 months for attempted abduction.
Yeah, he just
essentially.
Can't even say really because in that case, all she knows is he tried to get her to come with him. They can't even allege he was gonna this. You don't know what he was gonna do.
Yeah. And I want to point out, so all of these women, his victims, his attempted abductions, all the way up to the women that he murdered, all done with a firearm. He was very adept using firearms. He grew up hunting.
Yes.
That was his one outlet. That's where he felt confident. That's where he got his power from, because everything else in his life, he was powerless. The hunting is where he really found, that's probably why he moved to Alaska, to be honest. He grew up hunting in Iowa, and that's, the hunting up in Alaska is probably the best.
You saw he'd won a whole bunch of awards. You know that?
Right.
He'd won a bunch of awards. He had like the second, I don't know if it's largest or best. I don't know how they rank it, but it was like the second best buck or something that he had shot. He had a whole series of animals that he had won awards for hunting.
So he's comfortable with firearms, uses firearms, owns firearms.
Yeah.
So, and that's obviously going to come into play in a second. But yeah, so that kind of proves my point, is that he goes before the prostitutes, before these seedy Anchorage strip clubs that he's haunting around. He is trying to have sex with normal non-prostitutes, normal women.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're rejecting him.
I'm pretty sure, and this probably happens with a lot of these serial killers, is that eventually they realize, like, it's the big problem is, you know, getting these women, first of all, their credibility, and two, getting them into the vehicle. But if there's a prostitute, it's easier to get her into the vehicle.
Right.
And if she's a prostitute, she's been arrested dozens of times for prostitution probably, or has a criminal record, so her credibility is shot. Yeah. So once again, you would think he just did, even if it's 6 months, you know, at this point, he knows the gravity of the situation at least. This is his second prison bit. He said while he was in the halfway house, he was already daydreaming about doing this again.
Yeah.
He tells the detectives this once he's interviewed. He says, I never thought, I didn't think about, he said, I couldn't believe I was locked up again. But he said, I didn't think about not doing it again.
Right.
Where it's funny because it's like Dahmer, and you know, we'll do Dahmer at some point. Dahmer was constantly trying not to commit murder. Like he was trying to find an outlet not to do it. This guy never, he was not even thinking about it. In fact, what he was thinking was I need to find a way to, you know, get these women and that kind of evolves, and we'll talk about that because the next one I believe is where the woman that he decides he goes to her and she pulls a knife out and he ends up killing her, and then I guess he realizes he's better off just killing these chicks.
Yeah. Okay. So he gets out of prison. To your knowledge,
still with the wife?
Still with the wife.
Still with the wife.
Still with the wife. There's not a lot of she's a ride or die.
She's not going down.
Right. There are not a lot of options up there in Alaska.
And he's a baker. He makes money.
Right. Now, does he own his bakery?
By this point, he's probably got 2 kids. I think he's got 2. I think.
Do you know, or to your knowledge, does he own the bakery
Yes.
already? And he goes away to prison. He still has the bakery.
Well, I don't know.
I think he opens the bakery.
He may open it after
I think he opened it after he got out of prison. Now, what I find so shocking and fascinating is that after he gets out of his prison for the second time, he's raped, he's attempted to kidnap women. He still kind of has the respect of his community because he is a baker. You like, remember the little small town bakeries that we grew up with? There's always like one. They're like a flagship of the neighborhood.
Right.
So you would always respect like the friendly white guy, the friendly old white man working behind the behind the counter. So
one of the things he used to make donuts for the police and give them out to free. He would go there like every day and bring them donuts.
Yeah.
You also have to understand too that it probably wasn't well known that he had these charges.
Right.
It's not like the internet was around and you could it's not like it was on the news or there's the internet. Like you meet somebody, they shake hands. How do you really know?
Was there not a crime beat back then? Like a local newspaper? Like local baker?
Never know if he was in it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he started the bakery himself, is because he got out and he thought it would be hard to get a job.
Right.
But I know at some point, he very quickly when he gets to Alaska, I'm assuming after this, he starts the bakery.
Yeah. So and
he's got good money. He's making decent money.
He's making decent money. He's again known for acts of charity. This is what's wild.
He's an upstanding citizen,
and he's still married with kids, but he can't get laid. Like fundamentally, and I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but it comes down to the pussy. And this guy, after all of these years, just cannot do it. And so this is when he starts to approach prostitutes and strippers. Because, by the way, Anchorage, Alaska, it's populated with oil workers, laborers, fishermen. I mean, tough working class sons of bitches. And they want a lot of sex. And there's a big sex trade up there. Still is, probably. So he starts to, haunt these seedy strip joints and starts to approach prostitutes. And this is where the disappearances and the killing start to really ramp up.
Right. So there's a psychological study on him where they talk about how he was. So I'm assuming this is the kinds of things he couldn't do with his wife. He's a sexual sadist, right? Also bondage. I don't know if you saw the part where he picks up, and we can talk about, but it was one of the girls he picks up. She does not want to go back to his house, so she's performing fellatio on him, and she says, no, let's just do it in the car. He says, okay, fine. She's performing, a sexual act on him, and as she's doing it, she said he slaps a pair of handcuffs on her, yanks her up, handcuffs her, and sticks a gun in her face and says, you're coming with me, and blindfolds her. Almost all of these women were blindfolded and found with the blindfolds. So blindfolds her and brings her back to his house when his wife and kids are visiting relatives in the States. So he's got like a week or so. It's not a small trip, right? Like it's not a short trip. You're going for a week.
Yeah.
Brings them back, walks in. They have no idea where they are, and brings her down to the basement, and then keeps her in the basement. That was interesting. Her on several of them said he raped me on a bearskin rug. Have you heard that? Did you hear that?
No, I thought you were going to say a bunch of rolls that he baked.
Yeah,
a bunch of
a whole room full of donuts.
Yeah, and a bunch of Wonder Bread.
So weird.
Sorry. Oh, that is and yeah. So it's, and again, that is another through line that we see with a lot of these serial killers is the sadism and the pent up sexual aggression that is never finds a release. They're never able to talk to anybody about their problems. This is another thing from childhood.
Yeah, you can't share this kind of stuff. With your buddy.
No, I mean it's an argument for pornography, like people for being pro pornography, because I mean at least you get it out, yourself just watching a screen, right? I mean I know
probably
that
an argument for the other way too. It maybe makes it worse.
Perhaps, but then at least you're like
it's like saying
satiated though, like
it's like saying the video games that kids that play video games become more violent or more desensitized
to violence.
But you can make the opposite argument is no, it's just that desensitized violent kids are more interested in playing violent video games.
Right.
So it's like
there's a chicken and egg argument there for sure. But regardless, this is. Again, I just see so many consistencies between these guys, so many creeps. And then, of course, they don't do enough prison time. Nobody takes the victims seriously, right? Like, how can you take a woman into a basement and rape her all weekend and then you're not arrested doing 20 years in prison? Like, that's the reality of the world that we grew up in.
He was found not guilty.
Well, but I'm talking about the woman. I'm talking about the one that you just described to me where he marches her, blindfolds her, and marches her into the basement of his own house.
Right, but when he lets her go, she has no idea where she is. So she doesn't know. She doesn't know him. He's some guy that drove down the strip, picked me up, didn't, and by the time, so once again, blindfolded, brings her back, lets her go.
I hear these stories of these predators, and when they're in prison, they're already plotting on their next crime, their next predation. And look, I don't believe in village justice. I don't believe in two wrongs making a right. But maybe the inmates who stab chomos to death, maybe they're onto something a little bit, Because you think about all the sex offenders that we did time with. I know you were in the feds. Were you ever in the state? Did you ever do state prison?
I don't do state crimes.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I was in the state prison. So you're one out of every 3 dudes is in there for being a fucking pederast or a rapist.
The guys in, and what's so interesting about that is that those guys get very little time, at least in Florida. This is what's weird. In Florida, you see these guys that get 2 or 3 years that actually got a hold of a kid. You get 5 years. I'm sorry. They'll get 2 or 3 years, and they actually grabbed a kid and raped the kid, and then in federal prison, you'll see a guy that had 12 photos of a kid, and he gets 10 years, and you're like, that guy
did it in real life. He did that in real life,
right? This guy looked at some pictures. I'm not saying he's not a weirdo, but
that goes back to my point.
Weird.
Wouldn't you rather have that guy looking at pictures than this guy actually grabbing a physical kid?
No, obviously, yeah. I mean,
so that's. That's right. That's insane. That's in the modern day. That's the modern era. You get more time in Florida for drinking and driving practically than you do for attempting to abduct a child. So it's, you know, like I hate these prison videos where they're like, I stabbed every fucking molester I saw. But like,
No, you didn't.
of course you didn't. But like maybe the village justice, maybe the prison justice is not so out there. Because a lot of these people are just, by this point, Robert Hansen is not redeemable. I mean, he's not rehabilitatable. So,
listen,
that's fucking crazy.
his first victim. Oh, by the way, remember the one where I said one of these women that he had ran and tried to get away from him. This is the first one. They mentioned it during the interview, and he said he remembered when he caught up to her and grabbed her by the hair and yanked her head back and was looking at her, and she was begging him not to kill her. He said, I got such a thrill from it.
Yeah.
He said it was such a rush of a feeling of power. He said, I knew I never wanted to be without that feeling. Like, just disturbing.
Yeah.
So, but still, that wasn't the first person he killed, right? The first person he killed was a woman named Mary Thill. And prostitute, he picked her up. He brought her to a remote area near, and I mean, this is whatever, 45 minutes, an hour. This was before he had bought his plane.
Right.
And it was next to and I'm sure is it
Yep.
Knik River or just Nick River?
I don't know.
Well, whatever. Anyway, you're sharper than me. I even figured you'd be like, oh, it's a Knik River. Anyway,
well,
the Nick River. So it's listen, we're talking about way out in the middle of nowhere, wooded area, cold.
45 minutes outside of Anchorage is the middle of the tundra.
Yeah, 45 minutes out of Tampa is you're in the middle
Park.
You don't know where you're at. But yeah, so he drives her out there.
Does he kidnap her? Where is he finding these prostitutes? Like, is he finding them in the strip clubs? Like, are these actual strippers, or is there like a stroll?
I think there's like an area. Pretty much, Martin Luther King Boulevard. Right. You can buy crack and find find a hooker.
For sure. It's like the Chris Rock.
Any city in the United States.
That's a good point. Okay, so he takes her out to, and is he planning on like raping them in his car? Like this guy?
But in this case, she pulls a knife on him. She runs. She tries to get away. He catches up to her. He takes the knife away, and he said she was begging for her life. And he said, that's when I stuck her. That's when I think he took the knife and he killed her with the knife. Right. He stabbed her. Her body was found a few years later, but he killed her. I don't know which came first,
right?
But he assaulted her is what they say. They say she assaulted her and they murdered her. Her body was later found buried near the river. Investigators believe that Hansen. This was his first murder,
right?
But he had said that because she was disposed of and was not found for years or right away, he realized like that was the go-to move. Like leaving these chicks alive is a problem,
right?
So my best bet is take them out in the middle of nowhere, kill them, dispose of them.
So this was the turning point.
Yeah.
You know, every serial killer's got a turning point where they kick it up into high gear.
Yeah, it's nothing but it's just kill.
Yeah.
After this, he's just murdering.
Yeah, this is where he went from serial rapist to serial murderer. And I asked you that. I realized I asked you that off camera. I'm like, is this guy really a serial killer if the only reason he's killing is so he can get away with? But then I realized, look, H.H. Holmes, the only reason he was killing was to make money. Selling the corpses and selling the skeletons. It doesn't really matter at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like you're killing, right? Serial killers don't.
The motive is irrelevant, right?
The motive's irrelevant.
I mean, it's interesting, but you're still leaving. It's the results.
Yes.
You're still leaving dead bodies.
See, that's what's fascinating. And that's what I think a lot of people, that's the misconception I think around serial killing is that people have to do it just for fun, just for lust, just because this is their sick passion, but not necessarily. It can be paired with their other sick passion or their other motivation.
Money.
Yeah. Yeah. And in this case, it's sex. And he does not want to he needs sex. He needs to He needs to feel powerful,
and he doesn't want to pay for it too. This was another thing he said. He said I never. He said when the women would ask like how much it was, he goes, I never bickered about whatever they said they wanted. That's what I paid. And he makes it sound almost like, see, I'm a good guy. And when they're like, well, why is that? He's like, well, I mean, I knew I was just going to be able to take the money back. He said after I murdered him. And they were like, the detective was like, oh my God. And then the other thing he said was he said, listen. He said, if these women, when I would pick them up, he's like, if they went with me willingly and they just did what I wanted them to do, he said, I would bring them back.
Right. So there are women that went with him that came back alive.
Yeah, there's like 30 of them.
Wow.
So, and then he said, the guy says, and if they didn't do what you wanted, he said, well, then I left them there.
Yeah.
It was like, and it was chilling. Like when he said it, he's like, well.
He had some good one-liners.
And they didn't come back.
He had some good one-liner. He wrote his own movie script in a way. So there are, but what did he want these women to do? Because if he's paying these women for sex and they just have sex with him,
right?
Every woman knows what they're getting in his car to go do. So what is the difference between the women who came back and the women that he killed? Like, what did they refuse to do? The ones that he killed?
Well, I think some of them
just to be at gunpoint.
I don't know if it was assault or the fact that they wouldn't do everything. Who knows? I never. It was never specific, other than him being a sexual sadist, which I don't really know. As a matter of fact, listen to this. Then this has never happened. At one point, I was asking ChatGPT to give me a summary of what the actual crime was that he had committed. I'd already watched like 4 documentaries on it, but I wanted it to give me a summary. And it came back. It wrote up a whole summary, and then it just disappeared. And it said because of their policy, it was too violent. That this is violent content that we can't show you. Blah blah blah. And I was like, listen, I tried to rework it several times, and finally, I just ended up going back to one of the documentaries, listening to what he had done with this particular women, and wrote my own summary.
Yeah. So this guy was too ill even for ChatGPT.
Yeah, but then the documentaries they never really get into, because most of the documentaries they're being published on like national TV, so they're just sexual sadism. I don't know what that is. Whatever it was so bad he couldn't do it with his wife. He had to get a prostitute.
Right, and some of those prostitutes, it was even too bad for them.
Yeah,
and those were unfortunately the ones who were murdered.
Right.
Okay, so we can leave it at that. That makes a little bit more sense. Now, at what point does he buy a plane? How do you explain this? The guy had a little bit of cheese.
No. He wasn't broke.
No.
Thrifty maybe.
Well, he's saving all that money. He's saving all that money from not paying the hookers, dude.
So
he's putting that in the plane fund.
But keep in mind too, he's an avid hunter, so it's easy to explain why he needs a plane.
Right.
I need a plane. I'm in Alaska. I like to go deep into the bush.
Right.
And
and
hunt. Right.
Yeah.
So wife doesn't want to come with him, so it's a great opportunity. Hey, well, I'm going to be gone for 3 days or a day, whatever.
Right.
And he buys a plane. And look, he can't be stupid. Like I'm assuming you to fly a plane in Alaska, even in Alaska, you have to get a license, right? Like,
of course. Yes.
I'm assuming that's not easy. He could not fly at night though. I know that because there's different levels of
yes, your pilot license.
Pilot license.
Yeah.
So he wasn't allowed. He couldn't fly at night. He even said that to the detective. He said I had to wait. One girl he abducted, brought her home, kept her in the basement until morning, drove to the airport.
Yeah.
And put her in the thing, and they were like, "Why didn't you leave? Why'd you bring her home?" He said, "Well, it was getting dark." He said, "I can't fly at night."
Yeah. Well, it's super dangerous. First of all, like you're going to take somebody to the bush in Alaska. Like, how are you going to find a place to land?
I don't know, but either way, I kind of assumed that he really just couldn't fly at night. Like I can't fly. You have to be able to fly by the gauges.
Yeah.
At that point, he just couldn't.
Right.
That's what my assumption was. But you're right. I don't know. Who knows where he's even. Those little planes can last. Those little Piper things and they can land with. They put the big wheels on them, and they can land in very short strips.
So how is he getting? My question was when I was researching this is okay. So he's getting the women from the strip clubs or the host role into his car, maybe voluntarily, right? Saying, "Hey, let's go somewhere. I'm going to pay you $50." He takes them to the airport. And then does he get them into his plane at gunpoint, or does he convince them and say, hey, we're gonna fly to the middle of nowhere and I'm gonna fuck you there, right? Like, what is the? How do you get a woman all the way onto a plane and into the middle of nowhere?
So here's what he said. He said he would pick up the hookers. It's funny because every once in a while, one of the girls will be a stripper,
Right?
And I'm not sure. So, but for instance, there was one woman, and this may have been several. I just remember the one where he had offered her. He had offered her money for like a photo shoot. How fucking corny, right? Like the photo shoot. It's almost, you know what I'm saying? It's so stereotypical. Like, you know, hey. So, but he had offered her money. She was a very pretty girl. And her roommate said she remembered her coming home, changing, and saying, this guy's going to pay me like $200 to do a photo shoot. And she left, never heard from her again. Wow. So whether it's something along those lines, or it's she's a prostitute, he gets them to the airport and gets them. And he said he would pull a gun out, get them in the airplane, and he said. Once I started the engine and I was in the air, he said, they can scream as much as they want. Yeah. He said, nobody can hear them. Right. He said, I don't really care what. And keep in mind, he's tying them up. He's handcuffing them, putting them in. He can handcuff them, blindfold them, put them in the airplane, take off. They can scream for the next hour and a half on that flight. So Nancy Morrow was a girl that he picked up. This is the first girl that he put in the plane and flies her out to these names. Anyway, he flies her out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Akulanuk.
It's a Native American name. It's an Inuit name.
So he flies her out, and this is the part that when I watch this, or when I see this and read about it, bro, like the movie. This is a movie. This guy. Probably, I know I've seen multiple movies like this where they grabs a bunch of people. There was one movie called The Hunt where they end up grabbing, like, I don't know what it was, 8-10 people, and they bring them to like a reserve, and they release them, and rich people hunt them.
Yeah, Surviving the Game with Ice-T. Same concept.
Right. Yeah. And that's not let's face it, there's probably 10, 15 movies out there like this. So it's got to be from this guy. So this is the first girl that he says he brings out to the bush, way out in the middle of nowhere. And he said he released her. He had his rifle. He released her, and he spent the next few hours hunting her. He'd just let her go, and he could just hunt her the whole time with his rifle. He eventually shoots and kills her. And I'm not sure. The body was recovered. He said eventually the body was recovered. It was near the river, and eventually, I believe this is the guys that they were putting power lines through this area, and there were 2 power line workers that eventually find the body because he just left it there. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. Right. He's not even trying to dispose of these bodies.
Now, did he hunt during the winter when it's like, feet of snow?
I have no idea. This one only thing I know about this one
because
it happened in 1972. So it doesn't say, because keep in mind, almost none of these have the months. These are people that are on the fringes. Like, they don't remember, oh, this was July 2nd, 19. Almost none of them have exact dates because most of them are prostitutes. They're not missing for several days. He doesn't know.
And also in Alaska, keep in mind, people go missing all of the time. And back then, it's like, somebody could get drunk and fall into a bank and just freeze to death and be there. Nobody noticed for months. Right.
Well, there was did you ever see the movie? Listen, my whole life is movies, so I use movies a lot, right? So there was a movie, Insomnia.
Yes.
Did you say that?
With Robin Williams and Al Pacino. Great movie.
So good.
I watched that in the joint.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Nice, dude. You never forget good movies that you watched in prison.
Of course, there's so few. You know,
The Town. That was one that was hot when I was locked up.
I own The Town. I have The Town. Do you have YouTube? Is it
Premium?
Premium? Yeah. So I have probably 50 or 60 movies. I buy them. Like, if I want to find a movie and it's for sale, I just buy it.
You bought it on YouTube.
Bought it on YouTube, so it's in my library on YouTube. Listen, I have both the Dunes. I probably have every movie ever made on con men. I have just tons of movies. But that's one of them. So in that movie, when not De Niro,
Pacino.
Pacino shows up at the thing. Remember, he goes to check in, and she says to him, the clerk talks to him, has a brief conversation, and during that conversation, he says something like, "What are you doing up here?" And he said, "What are you doing in the town or whatever?" And she said, "Well, there's only," I think this is how she said it. There's only two kind of people in Alaska. She said, people that are born here and people that came here to escape something.
That's it.
And he said, "Were you born here?" And she said, "No." And it's just a great.
Yeah,
it's great. And
it encapsulates Alaska.
Yeah,
for sure. So, so now after hunting this lady, killing her, this becomes a pattern.
Yeah, this is what he does.
This becomes his sixth sport.
Right. Think about the elevation of that. How he's gone from first, I'm just trying to find some other women, because he talks about the detective, like the first woman he approached, he's like, I just kind of thought maybe she would like me just for me, right? Because he was trying to sleep around, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny, I keep going back to the wife because it bothers me that it's like, you're married, what are you doing? But I understand mentally, whatever.
Yeah.
But first he's trying to kind of like, let's say you get a girlfriend or have sex on the side. Okay.
It's like innocent. He wants somebody to like him.
Right. Doesn't work out. Then it's, I'm going to abduct a girl. Okay.
Right.
She's not a prostitute. He just abducts a girl. That doesn't work out. Then it's, I'm going to go to prostitutes. Goes to prostitutes. That doesn't work out. And eventually those prostitutes he realizes are going to be a problem if they're left alive.
Yeah.
So periodically he starts killing them. The body is found.
Right.
He realizes, you know what I need to do? I need to really take them to someplace isolated.
Yeah.
And when he gets there, by that point, he's realized, like, hey, why don't I combine my two favorite things, fucking prostitutes and hunting?
Let's have some fun with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how in my mind that develops.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the interviews with him, he never really says it, but you can hear that that's how it develops.
Yeah. And remember, his hunting is his lifelong passion. It's the only thing he's really been good at, as far as I can see. It's the only thing that's given him a sense of pride, a sense of meaning, a sense of power.
They interviewed one of his friend, which was a next door neighbor, who was also an avid hunter. He said we had that in common. He said he really relished being able to stalk prey and get around the prey. He said, and be able to get close to the prey. He said he really enjoyed that aspect more so than actually, he said, the kill. It was stalking his prey.
Right.
Whether he said that because it was perfect or it
fit the narrative.
Yeah. This guy also started crying when later on in the interview. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Where he talks about how he's like, if only I had been able to realize what he was doing, I could have stopped some of the. And he starts crying. He's like, "Come on, man, what are you doing?" But like, who the fuck's gonna think that? Who's gonna?
Yeah.
So he was a little dramatic.
Yeah.
But good interview and a little semi-insightful.
Yeah.
That they had that in common. And like he said, he loved hunting.
I mean, look, it's possible that Hollywood has made 10 movies based off of this trope.
Well, there is the one movie we found out about.
Yeah.
That I definitely want to watch, which is there actually was a movie made
with Nicolas Cage and John Cusack.
Yes.
John Cusack plays Robert Hansen.
Yeah.
So he does this. His confirmed kill count, I think, is like 17.
Yes. Oh, well, wait a minute. Okay. So I want to say it's the police believe it was, the police have a different number than what he has.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. But what I liked is the reason they think that there's 30. Did you see this part? Did you see where they recovered when they went in the house, they recovered the weapons? And they found the box of what do they call it? Where they keep things. What do they call it?
Safe?
No. They keeps they call it something when they keep pieces from somebody. Souvenirs.
Oh.
Where the list of souvenirs.
Right.
There's like 30 pieces. And so they can pinpoint this one was hers, and then they get to the other one. It's like, well, whose are these? Oh, he won't admit.
Right.
But that's why they're saying you said 17. You have 13 more pieces. Of stuff. You have a ring. You have a you have a necklace. You have a wallet. You have, like, come on, man.
What was that? You think like he'd already confessed to 17. Why not another 13? He's cooked anyways.
I don't know.
What do you think that was about?
I don't know. It was the same thing with when we looked at H.H. Holmes, right? Like but he even when he was caught and admitted to the things that he did, it was always like, oh, yeah, she died, but it was due to an abortion, or she died because he just didn't want to paint himself. You know, a lot of these guys, they're very narcissistic, right? Like they believe, especially him. I'm sorry, Hansen, because remember he also, we don't even talk about the fact that at one point he starts stealing things.
Yeah.
And one of the psychiatrists that was interviewed, they talk about, she talks about how a lot of these guys are they have that entitlement, right? Like, I'm owed this. That's why they steal. That's why they're narcissistic, and that's when they
rationalize. They rationalize.
Right.
Well, yeah, I had to. She was going to go tell somebody.
Right. So 17, like I was going to say, it's just the chick.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect?
What should she do?
Yeah, that's your rationalization.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the 17, like, that may have been, he may have admitted to 17 because they had him on 17.
Right.
Now, eventually, they believe it was 17. This was towards the end, which we're jumping ahead, but they believed it was 17. They charged him with 4 murders. So he pleads guilty to 4 murders as long as he will tell them what happened with these other murders, but they only have 17 where they can kind of place, like, this is the body.
Right.
This is the, so we know these are people that are dead.
Right.
The additional 13, because I think it's 30, they only have the trinkets, right? They only have the souvenirs.
They don't have enough proof to say, okay,
Right.
these are definitely connected to you.
Right. But to me, I agree. To me, I would be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm dying in prison.
Right.
He might as well just admit.
Right.
But, look, psychologically, you don't know what's going on through this guy's head.
No, he's probably thinking he can get out.
He might be.
Maybe.
Look at the 70s.
He's the 70s, and he's already got out twice. He's already got very light prison sentences for pretty severe crimes, especially the one in Alaska where he, attempted to kidnap a woman.
Did you ever watch that video I did of Derek Nolan's father? Or Derek Nolan was a guy who, it was American Pain. It was like the largest pill mill.
Oh, yeah. I talked to one of those guys. I got connected to him.
Okay. So Derek Nolan, his father, and this is in the 70s, his mother was sleeping with a guy. And the father finds out about it. So the father, one night, the mother doesn't come home. They've got a horrible relationship, right? Like, sometimes she comes home, sometimes she doesn't. She doesn't come home. He goes and he picks up Derek. He picks up Derek. He's like 4 or 5 years old, right? 4 or 5 years old, picks him up in his little, underoos, and puts him in the truck, drives to the guy's house, takes Derek out of the truck with him, goes up to the window, and Derek said, I remember looking through the window, seeing my mom and the guy are laying on the couch. They look right through the big front window.
God.
Completely naked.
Oh, my goodness.
This is your 70s.
Yeah.
This was justice in the 70s, right?
Right.
The father kicks in the front door. He grabs a knife. The guy runs from him. He chases him down in the driveway and stabs him to death in the driveway, I believe.
In front of his son.
And with the mother screaming, "Don't kill him. It's my fault. It's my fault." Then Derek says he remembers his father turning to his mother and saying, "Don't worry, bitch, you're next." After the guy's dead, she runs into the house. He chases her back in the house, and she grabs a knife. She goes to get a knife to protect herself, grabs a knife. He gets the knife away from her. He stabs her to death in front of Derek. He then takes Derek, drives Derek to his uncle's house, tells the uncle what he did, leaves Derek there. They drive to the police station. He turns himself in. He pleads guilty to murder, for insanity, right? Temporary insanity. He goes away for 3 years to a mental hospital, and he gets out perfectly fine. Gets out, remarries a woman. You're going to love this part. So he's all better. 3 years.
Right.
Butchered 2 people. He's all better.
Right.
Gets married again. Has 2 more kids. And after about 15 years of marriage, his wife comes home one day and says, I want a divorce. And he says, okay.
He's like, "Are you sure? Let me tell you what I did before I met you."
So he walks into his den, goes into his gun case, gets a shotgun, walks in where she's in the walk-in closet, takes a shotgun, she turns around, and he blows her head off. He then walks out to the pool he's got like a 38 or something, right? A small 38. So he brings the 38 out, walks in, sits at the pool, and waits because you could hear the gunshot, right? The neighbors called the police. He's waiting. He can hear the police coming. As the police come, he takes the 38, sticks it to his temple, and pulls the trigger. I don't know if people know this, but if you're attempting to commit suicide, the temple's a bad spot.
Yeah, because it's not going to go through your brain.
It goes through his ocular cavities, and he passes out, drops the gun, wakes up 30 seconds later, blind, and has to pat around the concrete to find the gun, sticks it in his ear, and pulls the trigger again to kill himself.
I hope he succeeded.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, but think about it. You've already butchered 2 people.
Right.
In the 70s, he went to a mental asylum for 3 years.
Yeah. And this is why, when I would see people when I was locked up in prison and I would hear really what I thought were benign domestic abuse cases, like, you're clearly out of line, but you don't deserve to be doing 10 years?
Yeah.
That's
why.
That's why. A guy like that needs to be locked up forever. Wow. That is insane. And of course,
he told on the podcast. I actually wrote his story.
It's remarkable.
But he told that story on the podcast. Listen, bro. I mean,
you talk about pain and shock and trauma and look at that. He grew up to be a gigantic OxyContin dealer. I guess it didn't all work out for him, but I think he's at least dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you talk about unfair.
Yeah.
Insane. So yes, it's just weak men that don't know how to deal. A lot, that guy's dad was probably a piece of shit, right? But it all comes back to the gash. I'm sorry. So
it's horrible. Bro.
Let's go through in honor of these women. We're going to go through some of the victims here before we get to how the case was eventually made. Because keep in mind too, just like in the case of Robert Picton, the pig farmer butcher who was kidnapping prostitutes from the east end of Vancouver, BC, and taking them out to his farm and burying, killing them and feeding them to his hogs, the police laughed off the idea that we're gonna actually get some budget to try to make this case. The same thing happened in Anchorage, Alaska. Like the cops didn't want to reopen any disappeared women cases. They were very reluctant. They didn't, they just didn't give a fuck because these
aren't patriots.
That's
these
right.
are not good citizens that were missing.
In their eyes. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So we don't feel that way, but that was the attitude. So 1973-74 in the Anchorage area, we have Sandra Thompson, only 17 years old, a teenage dancer, vanished from Anchorage. Hansen later admitted to abducting and killing her. Though details of her death remain limited, her disappearance was one of many initially dismissed due to her background. That same year, we have Elklutna Annie, the skeletal remains of an unidentified young woman.
Yeah, she's a Jane Doe. So
she's a Jane Doe.
She was found by Elklutna Lake. That's why they called her that.
I see. The skeletal remains of an unidentified young woman were found near Elklutna Lake, known only as Elklutna Annie. She was later linked to Hansen through ballistics and confession. Her identity remains unknown, underscoring how many victims were marginalized and overlooked. So a lot of,
but once again, these areas, these are women that he brought out. He flew them out in his plane and hunted them.
Yes.
So these weren't located near, they're in the Anchorage area.
Yeah.
But these are not women that he wasn't killing them in the inner city or anything.
No. These are the women he's been hunting.
Yes.
Yeah. In 1975, near the Nick River, another unidentified victim. Hansen later confessed to killing additional women in the Nick River area during the mid-'70s. He described abducting them from Anchorage, flying them into remote terrain and hunting them. No remains were ever recovered. And you got to remember, these are not, he probably didn't even know these women's name.
Yeah.
Right? So he didn't know who they were. He's just like, look over here. Look in the Nick River area.
Yeah, if
and
they
you
can
might
them at
find
all.
some skeletons.
Well, and they can't identify. Like, there's several women that
Right.
aren't identified. Not all of his. Like, out of the 17.
Right. And I think that's probably
like half of them
why
are
they
identified.
couldn't. That's probably why the DA didn't feel like they could officially pin these murders on him.
Right.
They had to get him to confess because he doesn't even know who they are. 1980. So this goes on. This is going on for at least 7 years. Because now we're up to 1980, and he's been killing since 71 was when he killed the first woman that he was trying to abduct, 71, 72. 1980 near Butte.
Yeah, 71 that we know of.
Yeah. 1980 near Butte, Alaska. Lisa Darlene Gordon, 20 years old, was abducted from Anchorage and transported to a remote area near Butte, Alaska. Hansen admitted she attempted to escape after being released. He tracked her and shot her. Her remains were later discovered, corroborating his account. 1982 near Jim Creek, Cynthia Cindy Brothers, 17 years old, one of Hansen's final confirmed victims. Cindy Brothers was abducted from Anchorage and flown to the Jim Creek area. Hansen released her into the wilderness and hunted her.
Can you imagine how
It's like pheasant hunting. This is what my
Terrified.
uncles do with pheasants in Canada. It's
but the pheasants don't know what's happening. Can you imagine you're in the woods?
yeah. And
You're
he
some-
says run.
Yeah,
Run for it.
He's got his
Yeah.
shot, his rifle, his
Yeah.
hunting rifle, and he says run.
Yeah.
And then you run, you cross the stream, you think
It's
even
cold, you're terrified.
even he talks about even if he'll let you make it to the wood line, you probably think I'm good. No, this is where I shine.
yeah.
You think you're good.
Yeah. I'm the Jordan.
Right.
I'm the MJ of hunting prostitutes.
I can't fucking imagine,
No.
bro. He's and here's the other thing is, even if you thought, hey, I've got some distance on this guy at this point.
Yeah.
I know he's still here. I see him way. I think. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Well, yeah. How can you even if you eluded him successfully,
You're
you
dying
might
in the
starve to
woods.
death. Yeah, you're going to die in the woods. You're going to freeze to death. You're going to starve
Yeah,
to death.
yeah,
Whatever. You're
this
going to get eaten
isn't-
by a bear.
These areas aren't 45 minutes drive time.
No,
This
this is 45 minutes flight time.
You're done.
You don't know where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most
Yeah.
of the time, they had blindfolds on. Most of the women were actually found. Well, I don't know about most of them. Some of them were actually found not with the blindfold, but with the blindfold. Like they still had the blindfold in their pocket
Right.
or near them. They're holding it. They're still
Right.
got the blind. So they're blindfolded. He's handcuffed them. I mean, these women are just. They're just the last one though is interesting.
Okay, hang
No,
on.
not the last one he attempts.
Right.
This
right,
one's interesting.
Right. And also you got to think like they're probably if he's picking them up from a strip club or from the stroll, they're not dressed for weather.
No.
They're scantily clad. So I can't imagine it takes him very long to find them when he's hunting them.
I'm assuming he's not in a rush though.
Right.
You know?
No, of course not. This is the sickest part of the whole thing is he wants to take his time.
Yeah.
So going back to Cindy Brothers, Hansen released her into the wilderness and hunted her. Her murder occurred shortly before survivor Cindy Paulson escaped, helping bring Hansen's killing spree to an end.
Right.
So,
So I wanted to
so
mention.
let's talk about Cindy Paulson because that's the one who escaped.
Right. So first of all, he's still married to his wife.
Yes, she stood by him.
Yeah. She had during this period she doesn't know anything
That he's hunting.
She didn't know he's hunting.
Yeah.
And what I think that stuck by him is also there was, like I said, there was the one thing where he was caught for he stole something. I forget what he stole, but he stole something and did go back to jail for a few months, and then got back out. And she's still hanging in there.
Yeah.
This is my guy.
Yeah.
So the last one, which is Paulson,
This is June 13th, 1983. Now, by this point, there is an ongoing police investigation. They know something's up because a lot of women have gone missing now.
Right.
So, but I don't believe that he's ever a suspect. I don't believe he's ever arrested from 1982 to 1972 to 83. I don't think he's ever a suspect in these disappeared cases.
No, this is the one that puts him on the radar, and even this one, I'll explain. Which is funny because it's once again it's the breakdown of law enforcement. It just happens to be there is one detective that puts it all together and actually goes back where they dropped the case. They're like, we're not going to run with this. He actually goes back and argues with his, whatever, the lieutenant or whatever, and argues and tries to put it all together and explain it. And so they go, okay, we'll get you a search warrant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to charge him. We're not going to do this. But you know what we'll do? We'll give you a search warrant just to.
So do they search his house?
That's when it all goes bad.
Okay. So, and this is after Cindy Paulson escapes.
Yes. So Cindy Paulson, he gets her. She's on the street. She's a prostitute.
17 years old.
Yeah. Grabs her, handcuffs her in the car, right? She's another one. She's performing a sexual act. Right. He handcuffs her because she doesn't want. He says, "Let me take you home," and she says, "No, let's just do it in the car." Okay. Handcuffs, fine. Takes her back to his house, blindfolded. Brings her downstairs. Puts her on the bearskin rug. Right. Again. Then this is the one where he couldn't fly that night.
Right.
So he has to wait till the morning. Right. The wife and kids, once again, visiting family. Right. This apparently is a common theme over the years. If the wife leaves, you got to stay off the strip. You know what I'm saying? Like,
by the way, this guy really has his wife in check because he never has to go visit the in-laws. Good for you, buddy.
So this time, wakes up in the morning, takes her. She's the one who I think she says like he kept her in a dungeon, but it was really just the basement.
Right.
So brings her out.
And he's preparing the plane. He's preparing his plane in the morning.
But brings her to the plane.
That's right.
He's preparing the plane. He had some kind of special seat or something he wanted to put in the plane. I was never clear on what the seat was. Is it a new seat? Is it going to hold them better? I don't know. Maybe was the old seat broken? I don't fucking know. Anyway, the point is, while he's doing that, she gets away. She takes off. She bolts. Yeah. She runs across the airport towards the I hate to say an interstate because there's probably not really an interstate, but whatever, highway, little 2-lane highway, whatever. She's run, and there is a truck driver that sees her, and he's not going to stop. Sees her kind of running and screaming. He's driving, and he looks. He sees this woman. He's not going to stop, but when he looks in the distance, he sees a guy running with a rifle. And then he decides, when he sees the rifle, he decides, okay, she's in serious trouble. He stops his vehicle. She runs up, and he looks. Hansen's actually aiming at her. He sees the guy crouch down and aim. He yanks the girl up in the truck. He drives off, and he drops her off at the police station. Right. Now, keep in mind, he can't ID Hansen's, he's whatever. 300 yards away. He can't ID him. Yeah. But he drops her off.
And she's got some clues. Again, she doesn't know who this guy is, but she has some details on him.
Absolutely. Can't tell where the house is, but all she really does is explain to the police. Police put her in she's a prostitute too. Right. So her word is suspect. But they get her in the car. They drive to the airport, and she points out the little, I think he had a Piper Cherokee or something. I forget what they call it. But he points it out. That's
the plane.
And they immediately know that's Robert Hansen. They go back to the police station. They explain the whole situation. They question him. He denies it. He says he picked her up. She's just a prostitute, whatever. Her story is picked me up last night, brought me to what I believe is his house, kept me in like a dungeon, describes the dungeon. Yeah. The whole area. Yeah. And the chief of police, lieutenant, whatever it is, says, look, he's an upstanding guy. He owns the bakery. He brings us donuts, for God's sakes. Right.
Yeah, fuck the fact.
Rob.
Fuck the fact that he's got multiple felonies. He's done a bid in Alaska for abducting a woman.
Who's bringing us donuts? He goes to jail. Right. We have to start paying for our donuts. Yeah.
So haven't you heard of ho-hos?
Yeah, I mean, so
Susie Q's. Who's going to bring us our Susie Q's?
Name these things ho-hos. So anyway, so he they don't want to pursue it.
That is unreal.
The detective goes back. He starts questioning people. He won't let it go. He questions a bunch of the girls. He puts together what he thinks is a powerful argument. He comes back with with witness statements, talks to a bunch of the girls, talks about the plane, pulls his criminal record, puts the whole thing together. We're not dealing with this perfect guy, by the way. He's got a record. He's got this. He's got that. He's got this. Multiple girls have said this, blah, 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 whatever. He's a menace. And all I really need is if I can get into the house, if we can just go in the house. She describes his gun case in the basement. So they say, fuck, we'll give you a search warrant. Gets a search warrant, goes downstairs. There's the gun case. There's the bear. Like, she describes it. So Robert is saying, she's never been to my house. This is a hooker I picked up.
Yeah.
You know, she's nobody, never doesn't know where I live, doesn't know and thinking she doesn't know where he lives. So, but she described it. So when they go in the basement, bearskin rug, they described it perfectly. Yeah. So they tear the house apart looking for evidence.
And this is also interesting when serial killers are getting away with it for long enough. They're sloppy and cocky.
Well, cocky,
sloppy and
right.
cocky. Yeah.
He actually, listen to this though, because they tear the house apart, they don't find shit. They don't find anything. They've got him. I don't know if they've released him yet or they're still holding him. But remember, when they interrogate him the whole time, he just denies. You're fucking insane.
Well,
what
would they be looking for though? Well, you know, this is not an H.H. Holmes who's disintegrating bodies at his own pad in acid, where there's going to be bones. Like, what would they be looking for? There's no DNA back then.
No, you're right. But the guns, they have found some bodies.
So they found caliber of bullets?
They're looking for a specific type of weapon.
Which is what?
They name. I'm not a gun guy.
It'll be either 22 or 38.
Yeah, they name the weapon that they're looking for. And two, they did talk to the truck driver. Now, he can't ID him, but this guy had a rifle.
Yeah.
This girl's giving saying this is what happened.
Right.
This is tying in with the other missing girls, some of which you got a bunch of disappearances, but you found 3 or 4 bodies. Mm-hmm. Some of them have slugs in them. Okay, so maybe, right? Remember the one where he found the girl got shot, and they found I don't know if she was the one that was shot or stabbed, but the guys they were doing a survey for a power line that came across her out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Like, a lot of these things, it's circumstantial evidence, but when they get into the house, they start searching the house, but it's not looking good. I do know Robert was there, because when they pull the attic down, they say, "What's in the attic?" And he says, "Some boxes full of Christmas decorations." And they go, "Anything else?" And he goes, "No, that's it. You look." And they're like, "You can look." And they're like, "All right." So they go up there. Cops go up there. We got boxes with some decorations and shit. Anything else? Yeah, we got a bunch of insulation. That's it. He goes, "Pull up the insulation." They pull up the insulation, and they find the rifles, his hunting rifles, and they find a box with a bunch of souvenirs.
That's right. All the effects.
Yes. They can pinpoint multiple souvenirs to specific victims. But there's this was Cindy's, this was whatever, Jennifer's, this was so-and-so's. Their families are pointing them out.
And these souvenirs are like rings,
right?
Things like that.
They can piece together, with the missing girls, they can piece together something like 17 or so. Remember, that's why they think he killed 17.
Right.
But they have hard evidence on, I believe it's 4 victims.
Right.
So, of course, they arrest him. He's done.
Right.
You're done.
So that was his big undoing, was just saving these little trinkets from his victims.
And you can say sloppy, but it wasn't laid out anywhere. He felt like he had tucked it away. So, you're right, sloppy, he kept it.
Right.
He's got a compulsion. He's got a sickness. These are things that they wanted.
They're literally hunting trophies.
Yeah, they're trophies, and he loved trophies. You know what's funny is there's also, which we didn't even get into. There was a whole scam where he fakes. Matter of fact, oh shit, I don't know. I can't believe I forgot about this. You know how he opened the bakery? The money he got for the bakery.
Oh. It
was an insurance scam. He fakes his house getting broken into, and all of these. He gets robbed, but one of the things that apparently is worth a lot of money were his trophies. So he tells the insurance company a lot of his trophies were stolen, and that's part of the money that helps him open the bakery.
Wow,
I can't believe I forgot that.
His hunting trophies.
Yeah, I didn't put it on. First of all, I didn't put it on this because it's just one of many. Like you said, these guys get emboldened. They're doing all kinds of crimes.
But it's interesting because a lot of these serial killers we've talked about thus far have multiple different crimes besides like common criminal crimes.
Holmes was diverse.
Of course. But it's interesting. I mean, the guy's just a piece of shit all around, but also a common lying narcissistic, sociopath, criminal.
But he did try and hide those. I mean, let's face it. You went up in the attic.
Yeah.
He pulls up the.
Yeah.
You know. Had that detective not said pull up all of the stuff, they wouldn't have found that stuff. They wouldn't have found that box. He was, and at this point, it's back down to
his word
it's
versus
a 17-year-old prostitute who says
I saw
that
a
I
rifle.
did what?
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean, I picked her up. Like I was gonna have sex with her. She said I picked her up when?
Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't. No, she's never been to my house. I picked her up. We're just hanging out. I just,
Bearskin rug. Well, a lot of people have bearskin
I'm
rugs.
gonna fuck her in my car.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like, taking her to my house where my wife and kids live.
Yeah. Oh, some trucker saw a guy with a gun.
That's not me. Yeah.
It's
once
Alaska.
Again, you can't.
How many people have guns up here? How many people have rifles up here? Yeah. He
most
probably
likely
would have beat it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's wild.
But he gets arrested. He goes to jail. They definitely have him on 4 murders. They get him he confesses to 17 because they can place 17 souvenirs with missing women.
Yeah.
But they believe it's 30 women because there's actually 30 souvenirs.
Right. Only 17 that can be directly
Right.
linked to him.
And some of them, they don't even have the bodies. We
That's
don't even know
right.
where this chick's
That's right.
nobody's seen her in a year and a half.
Yeah.
This is her mother says this
Yeah.
was the ring she got when she graduated high school.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
At least
okay.
13 were never found again.
Yeah. No, a lot more than 13 were never found.
I meant completely disappeared.
Yes. Yeah. That they believe, there's 13
Yeah.
that they can link him
But
to.
in order to avoid the death penalty, he cops to 17 total.
Yes.
Yes.
And he ends up going to prison.
He's sentenced to 461 years in prison, plus life imprisonment with no parole, incarcerated at Spring Creek Correctional Center, Seward, Alaska. And he died in 2014, so sort of recently at the age of 75.
75. Interesting.
Absolutely fascinating, sick,
unique. I'm buying the movie. I'm going to buy the movie. I'm going to watch the movie.
Buying a movie. I'm going to Alaska, dude.
No. It's the place that will learn how to fly a plane. That's why it's got to be a great movie. It's got to be interesting, especially after knowing this and seeing the movie. That's got to be pretty. It's going to be.
I think because there's a lot of serial killers will happen again, even though we live in an age of where everything is monitored. We live in the age of surveillance.
Well, the FBI says that at any given time in the United States, there's between 25 and 50 active serial killers.
Yeah, and I do believe that we will see another Alaskan serial killer. Because if you can get away with something,
you do it
you're
once.
You're gonna do it in Alaska. If you can get away with anything, it's gonna be in Alaska.